your ability to communicate with coaches is critical, is really important. Treat it like a job interview.
The game day visit, I think, is really important to basically go out and check out the game day atmosphere, size up the players. What does college football players really look like up close? I think it's one more opportunity for a high school kid to get in front of and build a relationship with the coaching staff.
It's not just watching what you're doing on the field, guys. It's everything that you do.
Yeah.
So be a good person. How about that?
You're listening to the Football Scholarship Podcast, the playbook for parents and athletes who want to secure the best football scholarships possible. From securing a D1 football scholarship in the SEC at Ole Miss at just £5,700, myself, to helping 83% of the athletes I mentor achieve football scholarship offers and 42% going Division I, I've learned countless lessons that I'll be sharing right here with you. Join me and my co-host Brian Overton, who has 15 years of D1 college football recruiting experience, as we interview top experts, successful athletes, and discuss current recruiting trends. Together, we'll help you navigate the recruiting process so you too can achieve your dream of running out of that tunnel in front of 100,000 screaming fans.
I think right off the bat that jumped out to me as I was kind of looking at your profile was the turnaround from, what you did at Southeastern Oklahoma State from 1-10 to 9-3 in just one season. So for you, and now building the program that you are now, what are some of the things that are really important to you that you look for in players as you're building a program, especially where you're at now as a head coach in Missouri Western?
Yeah, what we're looking for is, obviously we're looking for good talent. You're looking for guys that can play football. You're looking for guys, and that's all surface stuff to me. Like, everybody's looking for that, but
right.
How can you find the X factor? Where you do your homework. You're talking to coaches, you're talking to counselors, you're talking to, whoever, to find out what kind of a character kid. Because I think at the end of the day, there was always, my dad always used a term about a kid that, like, really talented, but not accountable, but he's really good, and you feel like you've got to play the kid because he's so talented, but then you're always going to get burned because, for whatever reason, like, he's not accountable to his teammates. You can't trust him when the going gets tough. That kind of player he's gonna fail you somehow. You know what I mean? And so you're trying to find the kid
penalty something.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And so he always. The term that always stuck with me that my dad always used was, he's good enough to get you fired, because it's like, he's good and you've got to play him, but man, at the end of the day, they're going to cost you. You know what I mean? And so you try to find out, is this a kid, that's talented, but is he a kid that does things right? Does he work hard in the weight room? Does he show up? Does he ask questions in the meetings? And you build this trust, with your players. And so then you find out, like, I can count on this kid at the end of the game. I want to get the ball to this kid, or I know that this kid is going to, we're going to put him on the best player, and I know he's going to get the job done. And it doesn't always happen, but he's got the best interest of, doing the right things all the time. And he's got the program in the back of his mind, or the forefront of his mind, rather, and not just about himself and his own accolades. And those are things that I think that, and honestly, I think that's something that when you're building a program, the more continuity you can keep in your program, and the more that you can develop kids from when they come into our program as freshmen, and you start to develop these kids and get them to understand your culture and understand your program and understand how things work. And then that starts to bleed into, as they get older, that kind of starts to bleed into the next freshman class that you bring in, and growing, from inside the locker room. And I think that's really, really important. And I think it's really a lot harder to do these days too.
Yeah, it makes sense. So, like, obviously, like you said, you got to be able to play, right? You got to be able to play at that level.
Yeah.
But after that, it sounds like to me for you, it's like, okay, you got to be able to play. And then I want to find someone who's high character, who I can trust, who's going to, put the program first. And
Yeah.
so how do you go about, finding players like that? Like what's kind of, cause that's a tough thing you know what I mean? Like you could
Right.
watch the film, that type of stuff is tough to see on the film. So when you're
Yeah.
talking to a player, whether you're on the phone with them or maybe they're visiting, like how do you kind of figure out if they are that type of player or person
Yeah. To
really?
me, the person, yeah. To me, I think it's one of those. I think you have to do your homework first, and I think you can't always just talk to the coach. I mean, the coach helps, but I think you got to kind of go deeper into that, and you got to kind of find out from other people. You know, what watching the kid when he comes on, you bring him on a visit. How does he act on the visit? Is he a kid that's kind of always by himself, and he's just always on his phone? He's not really paying attention,
Mm,
or is he a kid that's kind of in the he stands out in the on the visit. He's asking questions. You find out he's open about what's going on, answering the questions that you're asking him just about trying to find out his personality. So what I do as the head coach, um, we do our visits, for example, and I get up in front of everybody and I kind of give an overview of our program, and then we go on our visit, and the coaches are leading some kind of a tour, whether it's a facility tour, a campus tour. We're going to go, take them to eat, and I at that point, I kind of really try to do a good job of observing what are they like, what are their characteristics, as far as just being on the visit, interacting with other players, interacting with their parents.
mm,
Just kind of make a note of kind of what they're like outside of they're already there because we saw that they're a good football player.
right,
Um,
right.
so now I'm trying to find out just the other stuff about them on the visit, and I think there's so many guys that come in, especially Division two. I think there's a lot of players that think that they're better than Division two and don't realize that Division two is really good football. There's an opportunity for them to play really good college football, especially here in our conference in the MIAA, that they need to take advantage of, and impress upon the coaching staff, because we all get together afterwards and we sit there and we talk about each kid that came on the visit, and what do you think, and we might have comments if somebody is not impressing us in that way. We might have kind of a side conversation where our DB coach comes over and says, yeah, I don't know if I want this kid in our room because of this and this, and so we kind of make note of that, so that these guys they're always being evaluated. They're being evaluated when we go watch games. How do they handle adversity? When you can go to a practice and practice is going to be one thing, but then you go see it in a game, and whatever something happens, miss a tackle, and all of a sudden they're pointing fingers and blaming and they're yelling at the coach. Well, that's a kid that we don't we're going to stay away from, because I think you're always building your resume in everything that you do, when we're watching and paying attention to those things.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think a lot of people think I just have to be good on the field and that's it, and
Yeah, yeah,
they're really missing the ball, right? Like I do think when you look at like the top 2,000 ranks, like your 3, 4, and 5-star guys, maybe they get away with a lot more, but that's only a small percentage of all the
yeah,
college football scholarships out there,
yeah.
So and
Right.
and and to your point on the Division two, like yeah, everyone wants to play Division one, but maybe you're not grading at that point yet. That doesn't mean that you can't go Division two and work your way up, maybe down the road, right? Like, and so
Sure.
also Division two, like we're talking about, there's like 1.1 million high school football players. There's only a couple thousand Division one
Yeah,
opportunities, right?
yeah.
Like
Right.
it's very small. Division two, like I don't know if you ever. I've seen Division two football games. I mean, these players are elite. Like there's 20
Yeah.
something thousand high schools. Everybody at the Division two level was the best player on their team, and typically in their whole county, right? So like
Right. Right.
depending on where
Yeah.
you are. So I mean,
Sure.
it's still the top the heat for everyone watching. But I understand everybody does want to go Division 1, but
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody wants $1 million, but not everybody gets $1 million. So you don't always get what you want. And I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, you might work your butt off and you might work harder than anybody else, but at the end of the day, if you're not 6'6", 290-pound offensive lineman that has really good feet and is really strong, then you have to develop somewhere else. And so
yeah,
there's that. So, but I mean, like talking about Division 2 talent. I mean, I think we've got 3 or 4 right now that are in the NFL that play Division 2 here.
yeah,
So
absolutely,
that's uh, those guys that have dreams and aspirations of going to the NFL. I mean, that can happen at Division 2. There's a lot of guys that are Division 2 that make it. So, and honestly, like our conference in the MIAA, I mean, our facilities that you can develop in, and I think you know, so our program is really based on development. We want to bring in high school kids as much as we can and develop them, and so everybody can say that. And yes, we're going to bring in some transfers, or we need to bring in transfers, but we really want to bring in, guys out of high school that maybe, are 6'4" and they're 245 pounds and they're not quite ready to be a starting offensive lineman, anywhere. And so, but through development, we want to get them to 280, 285, 290, whatever it might be, so that they can compete at that high level. And so you look at going back to the facilities, in our conference in the MIAA, it's an arms race, and we have the resources to develop those type of players, to bring them in and make sure that they, have the weight room that with all the toys and technology and all that stuff that is going to challenge you and push you, and we have the nutrition stuff, and we have the indoor facility that when it's cold out, our quarterbacks can throw in the off season and work on their craft, and receivers and DB, all that stuff. And I think that's something to think about, as you're looking at, okay, you know, I'm not going Division 1, I'm not getting recruited by division, but where can I develop within a program that has the resources that it's going to help me develop? And I think that's something to consider as well when you're looking at those options.
yeah, that's true. And also, like a coach like you, that's like, hey, we're actually here to develop the players, right?
Yeah,
Not just bring you in maybe and then have a transfer constantly in front of you. And I get it. Like there is a thing for when a gonna be senior transfers out, and you're like, wait, well, I only have a true freshman there, and so it makes sense to get a transfer.
right.
I get that
Yeah,
too. But
yeah,
I love it, man, and it's cool that you have the resources and the actual, facilities to really be able to develop players. Because, like you said, it's one thing to say, it's another thing to actually have the resources to do it. And so,
right.
I want to talk about um, what's like kind of your recruiting process. We have a lot of parents, a lot of athletes on here, and obviously you've done a lot as a coach. I know you've kind of followed a little bit in your dad's. Was he a Hall of Fame coach?
He's been yeah, he's in a few Hall of Fames. So most of his career he was at the junior college level in California.
Okay.
So he's at the Pierce College Hall of Fame, Valley College Hall of Fame. He's in his high school Hall of Fame. So he's actually in the California Junior College Hall of Fame, for the whole state junior college. So that's kind of been most of his career. He dabbled a little bit. He was the offensive coordinator at University of New Mexico, um, which is how I got there as a player. Um, I wasn't good enough to play at that level, but I knew the offense, so uh,
Yeah.
that it worked out for me. And it was a great experience. But he was pretty successful.
If you're already spending thousands on personal trainers, nutritionists, private schools to help your son live his dream of playing college football, but he's not getting the exposure he deserves, and you don't want to let him settle for average, then you're going to absolutely want to be at this live training that I'm doing, where I'm going to share with you exactly what you can do to help your son to start getting 5 responses from college coaches every single day, from how to properly set up his social media profiles, to when and how to post, to actually send the right messages to the right coaches so that they actually respond, and how do you respond when they do respond? So you don't have to spend thousands of hours trying to figure it out because you probably don't have the time, and so that you have everything you need to help your son be successful. So you're absolutely going to want to leave there. I'll leave a link below where you can register. Look forward to seeing you there. I mean, you've been to, coach of the year a few times. You've guided multiple programs to postseason success. You've had, that turnaround from 1-10 to 9-3 in one season. I mean, that's a heck of a resume. I want to talk about recruiting because obviously I think, it's a big part of it. And for you, like you said, it's not just the play on the field, but your character, the way you carry yourself, the way you communicate. Having that confidence off the field is obviously really important. I'm curious, what kind of is your recruiting process? Like if a player, let's say they've been evaluated and they are grading as a Division II player, they look into the school, maybe there's an academic program that also fits what they're looking for. What's kind of the recruiting process from there to, be able to reach out, maybe not to you, but to your staff to show that there is interest once they've been evaluated and know they're able to play at the Division II level?
Yeah, I think it's to me. So our recruiting model basically starts, back in May, where we're, reaching out and going visiting high schools in the area that in our region that we recruit. We're going to
Yep.
recruit, obviously, the state of Missouri. We're going to recruit all the surrounding states. And then we're going to get down into Texas. When my time at Southeastern, we had some inroads down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so we kind of stay down there. It's obviously good football. And then so it all starts really right there with each coach, not necessarily by position coach, but by area. So they're going to go
Yep.
down and they're going to gather their lists, prospect lists, and they're going to evaluate, and we're going to put them into into our recruiting program. And then after that, we're going to kind of start looking at, where are these kids? We see the kid on film, we like him. We like him enough to put him on our recruiting board. Okay.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to go try to find out, how can we go see this kid in person? How can we verify that that he is the height that he says that he is, and he is as fast as we think he is, and all that other stuff. Like we need to go. So in the month, throughout the month of June, we're pretty much going to hit as many camps and go see him in person, and then try to just try to bump into them and kind of get to know, can they hold a conversation with you? And, are they kind of blowing you off because they're, they think they're something, higher than what they are. And so the more that we can physically see these guys in person, because it's one thing to see a kid on film, and then it's another thing to see him in person. You can look at, what does their frame look like? Is this kid, you got a kid that's 6'4", and he's 245 pounds, but he's got narrow shoulders. So you can't see that with their pads on, but you can see that. And if they got narrow shoulders, that might be something where is he going to develop into 285, or is he, maybe he's more of a, is he fast enough to kind of more be a defensive end that's going to off the edge kind of guy, and more of a speed guy. So there's that part of it. So you're looking at a lot of the features. If he's got broad shoulders, you're like, man, that kid's 245, but he's eventually going to get to 285, quickly. We signed a kid. We signed a kid 2 years ago that he was exactly that. He's 6'6", 245 pounds, and next thing you know, he's 305. After a year being in our program. Dang. And he did it right. And so got to project a little bit. And I think especially at our level, you got to project because you're not, like I said earlier, you're not going to get the kid that's already the 305 that's got great feet. That kid's going to Ole Miss. I can see the helmet in the background there. That's where we need to be able to see those things. So then after that, then we're going to try to get him on, get him up to our camp.
Okay. I just want to pause you for a second because you said something there that really stood out to me, and I want to kind of elaborate on it for a second. You said they can hold a conversation, right? And I think that's something that I harp on all the time with these guys. Are like, hey, if you're grading as a Division II or an FCS or an NAIA Division II level player, but your character's up here, you can confidently communicate with coaches. You ask good questions to learn about their program to make sure it's even a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Coaches are looking for this, right? If you're up there and you
Yeah.
got your head down, or your head's like half in the screen, half out of the screen, if you're doing a video, or
Right.
you got your shoulders moped forward, like that's not gonna work. That's not it,
No,
right? So how
no,
do
it's a job
you?
interview.
Yes, it's a job
It
interview. There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
an easy way
we're,
to put
we're
it.
yeah. I mean, we're investing. We have to invest money in somebody that can come, and we only have so much money to go around that each year.
Right.
So we have to make sure that we're spending it wisely. And if you're going to go, think that you're going to go to a company and get hired, and you walk in and you don't know how to hold a conversation, you're probably not going to get that job. Well, it's no different, because we're evaluating. We can't take everybody, and so we want to take the best, whatever it is, 25 guys that in that class, and
Yeah.
fill the needs that we need to fill out the class that we're looking for. And so yeah, I mean, there's that's always being evaluated.
Yeah. It's so true. Whether you're on the phone, you're doing a video like this, you're in a face-to-face type thing, guys,
Right.
your ability to communicate with coaches is critical, is really important. And so treat it like a job interview. That was perfect. I haven't heard that from a coach, but I think that's
Hmm.
exactly it. I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
So,
And I tell
um,
kids when they come, real quick, when
yeah, go
they
ahead.
when they come on our
Yeah.
visit, when I address them, and I talk to them about our program, and I'm honest with them, like they have to understand that we're basically interviewing them, but at the same time they're interviewing us. And so
Mhm.
they're trying to check the boxes of what they're looking for in a college. They may come to Missouri Western, and they don't like whatever. They don't like what the locker room looks like, or they don't like they don't like the campus, or they don't, maybe they want a smaller town. They're looking for a university that's sitting in a, a town of 10,000 people, and we can't give them that. So they're trying to look at those things as well, and they're looking at to see if that's the right fit, because I don't want a kid that ends up coming here just because we have a cool stadium, but we don't have the other things that he's looking for. We don't have the major that he's looking for. So maybe that's not going to work for him. And then he's going to end up transferring later on because he's trying to fit, a square peg into a round hole. And so, we want to find, the right kids that are looking for the things that they're looking for in a university, and what we're looking for, and match them together.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tyler. And one thing I really try to harp on as much as I can, especially when kids are reaching out to schools, is really letting them know, like, hey, obviously you got to be able to play on the level. Let's just assume that's the case. Outside of
Yeah.
that, it's
Yeah.
hey, it's very customized to this particular school because of this particular academic major, or this connection to the school, or it's got to be why you want to be at that school. It can't
Yeah.
just be football, right? So for you, if someone reaches out and they can articulate that to you, that hey, I want to be at this particular school for a very specific reason, right? I want to be at Missouri Western for this specific reason, or multiple reasons. Plus I can play. Plus I love XYZ coaching that style, or that you have,
Yeah.
and they know what's going on. As a coach, are you way more apt to actually say, okay, I'm going to invest a minute and watch this kid's video, versus someone who just sends you a video or it sends a big
Right.
mass,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
how do you
Yeah. Yeah.
go ahead?
So my probably the best example that in my experience in my career. So I was the head coach at a very prestigious engineering school, Missouri S&T,
Oh
and
yeah.
not knowing the we were trying to go get the best players. We were just trying to go get as good of players as we could get. So we would go down to Texas, and we would recruit some kids out of Texas, and places outside of our region a little bit. And you sit there and you say, okay, this kid's a 3.5 GPA because it's a high academic school. You got to get kids into school, but he's a business major. Well, because he was a 3.5, we'd recruit him because we had business. Uh, And then we would bring them on campus. We would spend money on a flight. They would come up and do this whole thing, and you think, oh man, he loved it. It was a great visit. But then what you find out is, well, everybody between uh, Missouri and Texas, everybody has business. So if he's that good, then why is he not looking at Missouri Western and Central Missouri and Northwest Missouri State and all the schools down in Texas that have business and all this other stuff? And so we ended up not getting them. We ended up not we wouldn't sign them, and they would end up going to really good schools. So we were on the right kids from a talent standpoint, but we weren't on the right kids from a of the right fit standpoint. So we changed our whole model and we did all of our homework and we said, okay, we're going to go back down to Texas, but we're only going to recruit engineering kids. So now we would bring a kid on a visit. He's an engineering kid. He wants engineering. He's a good football player. And so that became the right fit for us. And so we had a niche. And I think every school kind of has, a niche that you can fill. Um, you know, Totally different here at Missouri Western. Missouri Western, we have great facilities, we have great resources, we play in a great conference. That's our selling point. Um, on top of we have a variety of majors, business, nursing, education, all the things that
Yeah.
everybody's looking for. So, but so at the end, the year that at S&T when 2018 we won 10 games. I think it's 18 out of 22 of our starters were engineering kids. So it
Mm.
was just like that. We were getting the best engineering kids that we could possibly find to fit that school. So, looking at, your recruiting base and what you're trying to bring in, you're trying to find the right fit for your school.
Yeah. And okay, so this is really good. I appreciate you sharing that story. And if you look at okay, you got the Power Five and the G5 and, academics and stuff like that, are not as it's not
Yeah.
the same, right? Now you
Right.
start getting to the FCS level and the Division two level and NAI level, a lot of scholarships, a lot of really good, even Division three, a lot of really good college football. And if you listen to what Tyler's saying here, because this is what the good coaches do, it's not all you got to be able to play at that level. But then from there, it's more academic driven. Will he stay here? Character driven. It's not just can he play. It's
Yeah.
will he be good here, right? And will he stay
Correct.
here? And does he want to go to
Right.
school here? Geography, right? The type of campus, the academic programs.
Yeah.
So this is what we got to focus on, or you got to focus on as a player or a parent when finding schools that you can, that you want to play for. It's not just
Yeah.
football.
It's not just football. And it's, I think that you have to make a checklist of things that what's important to you when you're looking at a school or a program, and you might be you're getting recruited and not necessarily totally getting caught up in just the football part of it, but yes, I like the football, but does this match as well? And I think that's something that you know high school kids get caught up in the attention. And with social media, I mean, it's so easy to to sit there and I got this offer, and you keep putting it out there and all this stuff. And one of my big messages is at our after our prospect camp in the summer, when we have a bunch of kids, is like, look, like you guys are going into your senior year, like don't get caught up in like all the how many offers do I have, and how many I got to post all of this, and that, worried about that. Like, worry about playing good football, because a lot of times at our level, most of the time, Division 1, they're pretty much done with their recruiting before, after your junior year. Like, you're probably getting the offers, and you're probably going to be close to committing. You're getting recruited at the Division 1 level as a junior. Well,
Right.
those guys that don't have that offer, like a lot of times that we're looking at it saying, okay, you know, we're gonna watch his senior year, because there's so much development between junior and senior year, and the product of that you were gonna put on film, that we're gonna say, man, we saw him as a junior and we really like him, but man, his senior year, like how much better. Yeah, we want that kid. Yeah, we want to recruit that kid. And we're probably a little bit more patient than some as far as putting out offers. We're not a mass offer. Like we're going to send out, just everybody that's breathing out there. We're going to offer that kid just to get mass numbers. We're not doing that. We're more about, have we evaluated your film? Have we seen you in person? Have we done our homework? And then say, yes, let's offer this kid because we truly want this type of kid in our program.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And I think the in-person, like you said, and a lot of people will put on their bios like 4.40 or I'm 6'3", and like, guys, don't lie, right? Like good coaches, good programs,
Yeah.
they're going to do height check, weight check, speed checks, coachability checks, character checks. Like this
Right.
is why you have camps, meet in person. They come and do a game. You go do a game day visit, right? So I just want to emphasize that because I do see it like this kid puts his 4.4 on his thing and then you watch his film and you're like, this kid's not a 4.4. It
Right.
just doesn't
Yeah.
look good, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the more that you could, again, what is the first thing Tyler came out right off the bat? Obviously outside of being a player, is he a good character guy? Is he a good person? Can he
Right.
hold a conversation? And if you're lying everywhere, and if you're doing it like obvious, right? Like,
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
it's,
And we understand like 18-year-olds are 18-year-olds. Like we understand that too. I mean, it's,
yeah,
and that's part of the development in our program is we're going to, hopefully obviously we want to develop you physically. We're going to develop you in the weight room and all that and making sure that you're becoming a better athlete and all that other stuff. But, part of our deal is like, we understand that 18-year-old kid coming out of high school has a lot of maturing to go through. But, so to see a kid that comes in through our program as a freshman that might be immature or is just a natural 18-year-old that, does dumb stuff in college, to see that kid 2 years later, start to mature and start to understand like how to become a man. Really, I mean, is really
yeah,
what it is. Those are very very rewarding things to see as they grow through our program, and we try to do things, within our program to kind of help with that and bring people in to speak about financial stuff and how to take care of money and job resumes and because we do have kids that football is going to be over someday, believe it or not, and not
yeah,
everybody's going to go to the NFL, believe it or not. And so,
yep,
what tools can we give them as they go through college and as they start to prepare for life after college? How to write a resume and how to do a job interview and even if a kid is an NFL type guy, I mean, we had a couple meetings. Our DB coach had some meetings with a couple senior DBs. You're going to be interviewed by an NFL scout potentially, so you need to practice for that, and you need to know what to expect, and so just trying to prepare our kids for things that are going to come their way in life.
yeah. That's awesome, man. That's a separator right there. That's things that and I know a lot of parents are listening and are like, I want that. I want that for my kid. So no, seriously, I think it's a big thing. So okay, back to your recruiting process. I know I
Okay.
cut you off there.
Yeah.
We started talking about the camps a little bit. Now it sounded like you
Okay.
travel to camps, or do you have like indie prospect camps on your college campus as well?
Both. We'll have prospect camps. We'll go to work camps. Obviously, there's the mega camps that are out there that have thousands and thousands of kids, and so we do our homework before we go to those and make sure that we, just trying to eyeball those kids and see them in person. And then obviously we're going to try to get it. The big thing about the prospect camp at our university is that we can get them on our campus and they can spend more time with our coaches and you know really spend a couple hours on how they're going to be taught and what are they like personally, and so just building it helps build relationships, rather than obviously being at the mega camps and things like that and seeing kids around the country, but because you see them and you talk to them, but there is no relationship building as far as that goes. It's really more, it's a cattle call. Is really what it ends up being.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of numbers, and you're trying to search and all that. So you gotta work at it.
Yeah, when you do mega camps, and this is just good insight for parents, right? Because a lot of people, oh, I'm gonna go to mega camp and get found, and I'm like, unless you're a freaking animal, it's not gonna happen, right? Like
Right.
it sounds to me like when you go to mega camps, you already have players that you're looking for. They're gonna be there. You're going to check them out, or are you looking to find players as well?
Usually we're there. Usually we know who's going to be there, and we're trying to identify. I mean, you're trying to figure out like, okay, you might have a list of 20 kids that you're going to go, um, try to find, and
Evaluate,
you already
yeah.
know who they are, you know where they're from, you know their names, you know what position they are, but you're trying to eyeball them, and and then you watch them run or you watch them do whatever, and you work with them here and you work with them there, and maybe there's a drill or whatever, and so you're either going to sit and you're going to make a decision, that like, wow, this kid really impressed me, or this kid, didn't impress me, and they might get
Yeah.
crossed off the list.
Right. Yeah.
So you're trying to find now. We're also, I think, we are, we're trying to find the kid. We're either trying to find the kid that's an FCS kid that might get overlooked or fall through the cracks, or we're trying to find the kid that's going to develop into something, because of the frame, because of the height and weight, because of maybe he ran really fast. He's maybe small, but he runs fast. So, so we're trying to find the kind of the uh, one of those levels of football. And there's a lot of kids out there right now, with the transfer portal and with the lack of high school kids getting recruited, at the Division 1 levels, that are starting to kind of drop a little bit. Where at a Division 2 school, we can, maybe find a kid that falls through the cracks, that maybe has a bunch of FCS offers, and all of a sudden they get a portal kid and they spend money there, and then we can we all of a sudden get in the mix, but we've already been on that kid, and then all of a sudden he kind of falls back to us. So that happens every once in a while too. So, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're a little bit more patient, a little bit more do your homework. Let's find out what's out there. Um, so that's kind of our camp philosophy.
Yeah, and I think it's really good for parents and players to hear that, because understanding why coaches, or not all coaches, but why you and a lot of coaches go to mega camps and what they're looking for. And as a player, if you're trying to get recruited and you're not, a freakish type athlete, it might not be the best bet. It might be better to go
Yeah,
to individual college campuses where you've been invited, particularly after they've seen your game film, where you can actually have that interaction, that relationship building, versus going to mega camps. What are
yeah.
your thoughts on that?
So I think it's good. I think it's good to go to mega camps, because I think there's so many coaches there, that are there to
Mhm.
to
You never know.
find. You never know, and there's every level of coaches there as well, and then from there, you got to look at, okay, this is kind of where I'm getting recruited. This is the level that and being honest with yourself and being realistic, and then basically sit there and say, okay, these are the schools that are recruiting me. So Missouri Western's recruiting me. I like, the coach that's recruiting me. I'm going to go to their camp so that I can find out more about Missouri Western. I can find out more about the coaches and how the program is run, and do they have the things that checks the boxes that I'm looking for. So I think both are good, but I don't think that thinking that you're going to go to a mega camp and then think that that's the end all be all and that's what it is. I think that's a way to find out.
Nice. Yeah, I think like you said, experience, it's great. I love like the indie camps though, like going to a prospect
Yeah,
camp from a school where they've
yeah,
already seen your game film. They're interested in you, And I agree. Go to the big, do the big Power 4, Power 5
yeah.
school camp, do a big mega camp, but then the rest of your time's got to be spent on the schools that are interested in you, right?
Correct. Right. Yeah.
Um, and to me, that comes from knowing what level your level of play is, and doing outreach to those programs where they can invite you to the camp and you can go prove yourself,
Right. Yeah.
and get to know them versus, you know, just, we have one kid, he's like, that I met, and he's like, yeah, I went to 7 camps this summer, and it was like FSU, LSU, and like all these, and I'm like, hey man, well, like it's good experience, like do 1 or 2 of those, like, and I
Right.
get it, right? Like
Yeah.
I get it more than like for as a player as well. and wanting to play at the highest level too. So I do understand, but I also, what do you want to play though? Do you want to play football,
Yeah,
right? Or do you want to
yeah,
be in a position where then you have no opportunities after your senior year and you're sitting there with nothing, and that's a bad place to be.
that's a bad place to be. Yeah, yeah, that makes it tough because I mean, like I said before, we've only got so much money to give out, each year, and at some point, and it becomes a we have so much money and we have so much money for this position, and we're only going to take, let's say, quarterback. We're only going to take two quarterbacks in this class because that's the money that we've allotted. And so, all of a sudden you're a quarterback that's waiting around, waiting around, waiting around. And then all of a sudden it's a week before signing day. Well, we've already got our commitments at quarterback. And
Right.
most everybody would. And so you got to be kind of careful about, not missing out, and waiting too late because you're waiting for that dream LSU offer to come in, and it's not.
Yeah, waiting too late, and once the offer's gone and offers are gone, they're gone. Once the
Yeah,
money's
I mean,
gone,
it's
it's
money's
gone.
money. So right, right,
Yeah,
and you're
and
pretty
once it's
much left
gone,
Division three or which is fine. I'm Division three's good. I coached Division three, and I had a great time, and coached some really good players. It just can be expensive if you so
very expensive. Division three is really expensive. So,
yeah,
all right,
yeah.
cool. Well, okay. So, real quick, I just want to hit on game day visits, right? Because that's right
Okay,
about the time, right? It's happening now. It's a
yeah.
very hot topic. So what's kind of your process with game day visits? Do you do them? Do you bring a lot of players in? Are these guys that are only on your board? Like, how do you go about game day visits? How do you tackle those? And yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we invite, we invite guys that are on our board, and we're not going to turn anybody away. Like, you might have a guy that's on your board and you send him a game day visit and he wants to bring his buddy. Like, yeah, absolutely. And you never know. It might be a kid he's all of a sudden developed, and you're like, wow, all right, that's good. It's good that we found out about that guy. Um, we'll probably have around, I don't know, 40, 40 prospects, that will be on the game day visit, I would say. And they'll come in, we'll meet with them. We'll have a kind of a group meeting, introduction meeting, give a little 10-minute spiel on who we are, what we're about. And then we'll give them a quick tour of the facilities. Um, and then they'll go on our admissions people will actually take them on a campus tour and show them the campus. And then we bring them back. We let them get down on the field, kind of check things out on the field, and then they'll go up, and in the stadium, in the stands, and watch the game. And we don't do anything with them afterwards. But to me, the game day visit, I think, is really important, to basically go out and check out the game day atmosphere, to go and check out, size up the players. What does college football players really look like up close? Um, you know, what does it look like on game day? Just the experience of game day. I think it's good, and I think it's one more opportunity for a prospect, a high school kid, one more opportunity to get in front of a coaching staff and build a relationship with a coaching staff, and feel the comfortability of being on the campus and being in the facilities and all that. And is it the right fit? Uh, we don't. It's not a full visit. It's not a full day. It's not all that. For
yeah,
us, it's just we're trying to get them on campus, and then when we do our official visits, that's when they come back and we give them more information and see more things and more in depth, talk X's and O's, get them in front of our players and hanging out with our players so that they can ask the questions, to the players that we can't answer, from a player's perspective. So I think, that's kind of a general introduction as far as the game day visit goes, for us.
awesome.
And
Okay,
sometimes there is a kid that we've been on. We've seen him at camp. We've seen him play. We already have a relationship with him, and we might bring him in and offer him, and say, this is the offer, and actually give him a dollar amount offer. That happens, as well. But
but the key there is you said have a relationship, already seen his film, have met him, like all of those things. And as a player or a parent, it's not, okay, senior year, now we'll start doing outreach. It's like, I
Right.
mean,
Right.
it's about relationships. And so once you're at that level of play, it's about relationships. It's about, is this the right school for me? Has this coach
Yeah.
seen my game film? Have I gotten on the call with him and carried a good conversation, right? It's all those things that lead up
Yeah.
to, okay, let's get on a game day visit. You go to the game day visit. It's an awesome visit. The coaches love you and they want to move forward. Like, that's how it
Right.
works,
That's how it
right?
works.
Like,
Yeah,
this is
that's how.
this, so I appreciate you sharing that, Coach Fenwick. So, before we go, I got one more question for you. What, for parents and players out there that are listening and have been like, wow, this is really good. I'm very interested in this program. What could you share with them about, yourself and the program and where you're going forward? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think part of it is, I mean, it's, what I tell guys when they come on the visit, parents, family, like I said, our program is about development, and we're going to give you the resources to develop through our program. You know, we're going to have the facilities, we're going to have the weight room and the nutrition, we're going to have all the things that are going to, grow you. But I think more so we want to develop you academically. We want to make sure that academically you're staying on pace towards graduation. And within that, we have the resources with academic coordinators in our athletic department that only works with our student athletes. And so if you need a class dropped, or you need to add a class, or you're in the wrong class, or you need a tutor, or whatever it might be academically, we have those resources to make sure that you can be successful. Now, obviously, we're not we're not going to do it for you. We're gonna we're gonna make sure that
Right.
our that you're following up and doing your part. And then I think I touched on it earlier, is we want to make sure that we develop you. What I say, socially, and that means maturing as a human being, and so that when you leave this place, that you have the tools to be successful in a job, as a family person, in society. And if we can do those things, if we can hit those three things, then I think we're going to be successful on the field, because we've recruited a high talented athlete. We've developed them in the weight room. We've developed their character, in the sense that you know we're trusting that there's somebody that's going to be accountable to the program, and there's somebody that's going to be do whatever it takes to help the team be successful. And then obviously they're going to be eligible, and so. Those are kind of the three, I guess, pillars as far as what we want in our program. And so when we came in here, we had a great first year. We had a great senior class 3 years ago. Had a great year, and then last year was kind of our big. It was really kind of our big development year, in the sense that we lost all these seniors that had already been developed, and then we had to kind of rebuild in some positions. So we struggled a little bit last year. We're in tight games and in close games. I think when you look at Missouri Western's locker room, when you look at the culture, like, we don't have guys that are jumping in the portal trying to find, somewhere else to go. Like, they know that they're treated well, they're coached well. They have relationships with their coaching staff, their position coaches. If you I walked down the hallway today, and you got players sitting in coaches' offices that are eating lunch, working on a project for school. You know what I mean? Like, they
Yeah.
like being around the football facility, and so we don't
Nice.
have guys that are trying to jump in the portal and go get something else, and go do other things, because they know that they're being taken care of where they're at. So we're kind of in that process of building this thing, and I think we've got good players that care about Missouri Western and care about being successful, and we'll get it going.
Yeah. You've done it before, you'll do it again.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, that's hope so. That's the plan.
yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, Coach Fenwick, really appreciate you coming on. I know there's a lot of players and parents out there that are going to listen to this and appreciate your time and the fact that you came on to talk a little bit about your program and the recruiting process. And hopefully maybe next year we could have you on again and kind of do a recap.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'd love that. I appreciate you reaching out and inviting me on.
Cool. All right, Coach Fenwick. Well, good luck on the next game. I know you got a week off, but on your next game, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, staff will be out recruiting on Friday night watching games. So if you're listening and we're going out to watch, make sure that you do all the little things right.
Hey, you got coaches at your school watching. It's not just watching what you're doing on the field, guys. It's everything that you do.
Yeah.
It's everything that you do. So be a good person. How about that? It's an easy
There
one.
you go. I'll take you a long way in life.
Awesome. Appreciate you being here, Coach.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Football Scholarship Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. And for more free resources, or if you're interested in working with us, visit gonextplay.com. Until next time.